From Thom Hartmann's Daily Take Substack. The coup that finally worked. How Mike Johnson succeeded where the insurrection failed. Through procedural paralysis, the Speaker has done what violence could not: silence Congress and hand Donald Trump the powers of a king. Published October 24th, 2025. The following is a song inspired by this article.
The house lights dim, the halls grew cold. The gavel dropped, but no one showed. They said the fight was long since done, but tyranny don't need a gun. No smoke, no flames, no shattered glass, just silence where the people last. The mob had failed to break the door, now the Speaker's done much more. This is the coup that finally works. No battle cries, no flags that burn, just a quiet hand and a line that blurs. That's the coup that finally worked. They shut the doors, they froze the floor. The people's house don't meet no more, and power flows where truth once stirred. That's the coup that finally worked. They warned us once in ink and flame that kings would rise and wear new names, and while we slept they changed the rules and turned the brave into the fool. No army marched, no trumpet called, just paper stacked and freedom stalled. The Speaker bowed, a tyrant smirked. That's the coup that finally worked. This is the coup that finally worked. No storming crowds, no lessons learned, just a desk, a seal, a law that turned. That's the coup that finally worked. The silence rings, the echoes heard, the voice of the people left unheard, and the dream we built was quietly reversed. That's the coup that finally worked. They took the power piece by piece, wrapped it up and called it peace. But freedom fades when no one stirs. That's the coup that finally worked. This is the coup that finally worked. They shut the lights, they closed the church. No shots were fired, no blood was spurred. That's the coup that finally worked. Oh, the silence burns, the silence burns. Our rights erased, our trust deferred, the crown restored, the truth interred. That's the coup that finally worked. The mob had failed with rage and flame, but the Speaker won just the same.
Quote, "No political truth is of greater intrinsic value, or is stamped with the authority of more enlightened patrons of liberty. The accumulation of all powers, legislative, executive, and judiciary, in the same hands, may justly be pronounced the very definition of tyranny." End quote. James Madison, Federalist 47. Quote, "All the powers of government, legislative, executive, and judiciary, result to the legislative body. The concentrating of these in the same hands is precisely the definition of despotic government. An elective despotism, was not the government we fought for, but one in which the powers of government should be so divided and balanced among several bodies of magistracy that no one could transcend their legal limits without being effectively checked and restrained by the others." End quote. Thomas Jefferson Commentary on Federalist 48. House Speaker Mike Johnson, presumably on the orders of Donald Trump, has unconstitutionally shut down the government of the House of Representatives for over a month. The result is that Trump can now do pretty much whatever he wants without restraint. He's effectively king of America, at least for the moment. No limits, no constraints, no oversight. It's the coup that finally worked. If there is any one principle the founders of this nation agreed on, it was that the first and primary function of Congress is to prevent a president from seizing king-like powers. It's repeated over and over throughout their writings and carved into the Constitution itself. That historical reality notwithstanding, quote, King, end quote, Donald has decided all by himself to demolish a large chunk of the People's White House and replace it with a replica of Vladimir Putin's Winter Palace's Grand Throne Room, so he can entertain billionaires with large high-dollar fundraisers at the taxpayer's expense without having to travel all the way to Mar-a-Lago. He didn't bother to get permission from the National Trust for Historic Preservation, nor did he submit plans for what people are now calling the, quote, Epstein Ballroom, end quote, to the National Capital Planning Commission or as any other historic building in D.C. would do. Loopholes in the law apparently allowed him to do this, however, because previous generations of lawmakers never imagined a president would be so insane as to one day demolish parts of the White House without consulting Congress or the people, so they saw no need to forbid it. Which leaves only Congress as a single agency that could have thwarted Trump's imperial plans. As any constitutional scholar will tell you, as would Declaration of Independence author Thomas Jefferson or father of the Constitution James Madison, that's at the foundation of their job. Congress is supposed to have oversight over the president, to constrain him with laws, budgets, and hearings, and keep his behavior within the law, like they did when Richard Nixon was bugging the DNC, or when Bill Clinton tried covering up his affair, or George W. Bush engaged in illegal torture after lying us into 2 wars. They should be demanding answers about Trump's lawless, quote, murders, end quote, quoting Colombia's president, of people in the Caribbean, is imposing tariffs in violation of Article 1 of the Constitution, or his ICE agency's brutality and illegal warrantless arrests. But to do that, even to have prevented his unilateral tearing down of part of the White House, the House of Representatives would have to convene oversight hearings and create such a public outroar that Trump would back down, and there's a real possibility that could have happened, particularly as Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie are starting to stand up to Trump. The only problem is that Congress is on vacation, apparently because Trump ordered it. We all know that if he wanted the House open, it would be open today. Speaker Mike Johnson has shut down the U.S. House of Representatives by sending everybody home and then dragging out the recess. The growing concern is that he's doing this at Trump's demand in order to eliminate congressional oversight and thus enhance his now near dictatorial power. Speaker Johnson has kept the chamber in indefinite recess during a government shutdown, the first speaker in history to do so, while refusing to even hold pro forma sessions, seat a duly elected member, Grijalva, or allow continuing resolutions to reach the floor. This is against the law, the supreme law of the land. There is no joint resolution with the Senate allowing for a recess longer than 3 days, nor has the Senate passed a standalone resolution. Articles 1, 5, Clause 4 of the Constitution reads, quote, "Neither House during a session of Congress shall, without the consent of the other, adjourn for more than 3 days, nor to any other place than in which the two houses shall be sitting," end quote. Congress didn't even suspend its functioning for weeks like this during the Civil War or World War II. It's literally never happened before. So why would Johnson take this unprecedented step? What's the emergency that's greater than the War of 1812, World War I, 9/11, or any other crisis? One possible answer is that it's all about increasing Trump's power as potentate, so he can do whatever he wants, like demolishing part of the White House with no criticism or examination, no hearings or testimony, no experts or historians from the House of Representatives. By halting committee work, freezing discharge petitions through this naked and unconstitutional calendar manipulation, and withholding any date for Congress to reconvene, Johnson, obviously fulfilling Trump's demand, has placed the entire legislative branch into a political form of suspended animation. Why does Trump want this? Why does he care about the House of Representatives enough to put Mike Johnson in this difficult, illegal situation? This threat to Johnson's legacy as Speaker. The House, which only, quote, exists, end quote, as a functional body when formally in session, normal, not pro forma, has been rendered incapable of introducing bills, issuing subpoenas, or performing any oversight whatsoever of the executive branch from Trump to Miller to Vogt, Noem, Bondi, Patel, or anyone else. And even if the Senate were to step in and, quote, legalize, end quote, Johnson's recess, his dragging it out this long or longer would still have the same impact on weakening what's left of our democracy and handing more and more uncountable power to Trump. What Johnson has pulled off is a, quote, procedural, end quote, coup. He and Trump now controls whether Congress exists at all. His keeping the House in recess concentrates extraordinary power in the Speaker's office and, by extension, in Donald Trump, whose directives Johnson slavishly follows. With the calendar erased and committees paralyzed, transparency and accountability over the judicial and executive branches has disappeared. The public can't track missed votes, can't demand action, and federal agencies like Trump's CBO and Noem's ICE can operate entirely unchecked. Thom Hartmann suddenly has no oversight whatsoever. Ditto for Bondi, Noem, Carr, Patel, Miller, etc. They can do whatever they damn well please, particularly since they appear to believe they'll get pardoned if they get caught breaking the law. Furthermore, the longer this paralysis continues, the more it normalizes an unbalanced government in which the president acts without legislative restraint. If this continues, or Johnson falls into a pattern of repeatedly recessing Congress whenever Trump requires him to do, Trump might as well declare himself king. Without the House, even the Senate can't act in a meaningful way. The Constitution requires that all legislation involving money, including any laws or resolutions that may tie Trump's hands, since virtually all actions must be paid for, must originate in the House. Article 7, Clause 1, quote, all bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives, end quote. Without ever proclaiming it out loud, Mike Johnson has accomplished what open insurrection never could, a methodical, bureaucratic nullification of Congress itself, eliminating its ability to perform oversight over Trump, all without a peep or notice from the mainstream press, who are instead fixated on the government shutdown, seemingly think it's the same thing as or part of the House recess. If Johnson doesn't back down, or if he temporarily does, but this becomes a regular thing, our republic will have been really and truly turned into a kingdom, complete with a massive new throne room before our very eyes.